Hello everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial Mom. And today we are back to recap Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 8, You Can Get Out of This. And we already know who they're talking about, and that's Henry. So, let's get into the review. So we first start this episode off with Olivia and Brett. We saw Olivia go meet up with her sister to talk about the honeymoon. And of course, what comes up? The rating system.
Yep.
Because she told her that Brett didn't like that, she rated him, even though he was ear hustling. So of course we see the flashback scenes where he's saying it's dehumanizing and he doesn't really like stuff like that. But Olivia, she couldn't really see why that was a hiccup, but that was the first one. The second one came with the finances.
That will always be a hiccup with finances because Olivia is so used to spending freely on what she wants. She doesn't have a budget versus Brett is so meticulous of how he spends things. He knows where every single dollar goes and he doesn't like that. And that is going to be a deal breaker, I think.
See, you must have missed the part where Olivia said that she felt a little offended that Brett think she doesn't have a budget, because she said he doesn't know her finances like that. Just because she likes to spend money and he likes to stay at home with his cats and be frugal doesn't mean that she can't budget well, so she said.
When Brett meets up with his friend, he lets him know what happened in Mexico. He had a good time. The friend had a little bit of hate. He was like, hey, you went to Mexico, you didn't know?
Hate, or do you think they were both being sarcastic? Because I was like, yeah, I can see why they're friends, because Brett was throwing out his sarcasm and his friend was taking it and throwing it right back at him. And I'm just like, I couldn't be in that conversation.
Well, you're not his friend, so you wouldn't be.
But Brett said he didn't really feel the guys in their conversation about the ratings and the boom boom. Plus, he didn't like Pastor Cal grilling him about everything that went on in his relationship. So then when the friend was like, so tell me some more about it, he was like, oh, am I Pastor Calling you?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of funny.
So now we have a quick scene with Woody and Imani. And Woody's making breakfast, he's making mimosas, and he gave her flowers. Do you think that's a little bit of making up from the last week?
About the hair thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Woody is a slick talker, as he was still being in this episode. And he felt the vibe, so, why not do some extras with the flowers and the cooking just to make her happy? Because, of course, Imani is going to love it and fall for it. I mean, isn't that something you look for in a guy, too? And then we see Amelia go off with her friend and Bennett go off with his friend. I thought the scene with Bennett and his friend was the most interesting because he wanted to let his friend know that everything was running smooth. He can always talk to her about anything, even though it was like she kind of fell asleep on you on a honeymoon in that fort, but I'll let you live with that.
She was tired.
And was it me, or did his friend take it a little too hard and personal?
She definitely took it hard and personal. I'm thinking maybe she missed the boat. Because she's like, well, if she does go, what are you going to do? I mean, you have things here, the theater company's here, just all
Your
the
tiny house.
Right. Everything is here. And she's like, well, you know what? I really don't want you to go.
Right. It would leave a void in my heart. I'm like, why are you taking it this deep? This is what happens when your friends get into a relationship and or a marriage. They have to venture off. It's no longer going to be a friend group. Y'all going to be friends in other groups. But then she was wondering, well, is there something that you just do crazily, your crazy Bennett thing, or do you see this happening long term? Bennett didn't really give a straight answer for me. Did he to you?
He gave an answer, but
was it a straight answer?
It wasn't a straight answer, but he still wanted his friend to know that, listen, I like Amelia. I want you to know she's a good person, and I'm committed to this. So, again, I think that friend was looking at him from afar, and maybe she should have said something before Married at First Sight.
Exactly.
So, moving on to Amelia and her friend. I mean, her friends are pretty much along the same level as her. No real issues that came up. She did talk about the honeymoon, how they had a good time, how they connected and everything. And I do believe the friend was like, so how's the intimacy? And she was like, it's fine. I mean, Amelia and Bennett, there is really no issue right now. It just seems like
There is an issue. It's the underlining issue of her having to move, him having all of his hobbies and theaters in his tiny house, and what is he gonna do? Because even the friend is questioning, like, so is he gonna move with you? Like, what's happening? But Amelia's like, whatever really happens, happens. And that's how they both are. But we all know, well, at least I know, that this is going to be the thing that is going to either make or break them. So I don't think it's going to be rainbows and sunshine for too much longer. But I'm enjoying the ride for right now.
So now, Karen and Miles. Miles is sitting at the table, and in comes Karen. She sits down, and it looks like she stopped to get her nails done. And Miles like, ooh, look at you, shorty. Something like that. You got your nails done. She's like, I stopped for a little something, something. So they're having a good conversation. Seems like they're starting to break that ice a little bit.
Does it?
It does. So Miles is saying, from the talk we had with Pastor Cal, I'm trying to figure out what it is that you need and trying to figure out what I need. So how can you help me out with that? And Karen goes on to say that, she's a little slower to open up, and she realized she needs to step it up. And Karen keeps saying, I need a little bit more time, but she's working on it. And I thought that was nice for her to say she's working on it instead of how she was acting on the honeymoon. I'm not saying that she's there yet.
Because you saw my face.
But it's a step.
I'll give you that little bit that it could possibly be a step. But my feelings still are the same. You know how fast of a process this goes. She was turned off from the Instagram video. You know what you're supposed to be doing at Married at First Sight, and this goes for some other couples on the show too. So I don't understand how much slower she wants to go. But Karen, she just didn't seem like she was willing to try. So hopefully, maybe if Miles steps up and be tougher or more manly for her, she might give some words of affirmation, but I'm holding my breath on that. And the moving slow theme also ties right back along to Henry and Christina, because when we see them getting ready to have the party, they have the little strings, the little pictures being set up, and who's starting the conversation? Christina, as always, having the conversation with Henry, trying to pull things out of Henry. Henry's not giving anything, and Christina was like, and scene. Like, what more do you guys want me to talk about with him? And of course, we get the fourth wall again saying, we don't have any more cues for you guys. And then Christina looks at her phone like, okay, well, let's look at the party games. No, we're not playing musical chairs. We're not doing this. And Henry's just there drinking his wine. He's observing the scene, but he never gives any output. And as much as I want to like Henry, and I know some people don't like Christina, I feel like Christina has been really trying, because what if Christina didn't say anything like Henry does?
When she hit end scene, I think that helped to turn Henry's mood around the other way, because it did come off like her sarcasm. I mean, she's sarcastic too, and she's dismissive. Even from the wedding, when she's like, nope, I don't want to do this scene right now. Nope, I'm gonna stand right here. It gives the same vibe to me. So Henry already said last week how she's impatient, and that's a turnoff. But I can agree with Henry does need to give more communication. But I also think that Christina is trying to pull teeth faster, and Henry's just not going to give that at all.
I don't think so. I just don't think Henry wants to give too much of anything at all. And I was getting a Brandon 2.0 tease, just less hype. Like, what are you doing on this show if you don't want to give that to that person? Even if you're still trying to build the attraction, it's still trying. And Henry, as much as I love his spicy comments, he's not really trying. And I would feel the same way as Christina. Like, you could leave. You don't have to keep doing this. Then we get to the scene where the guys and the girls meet up. And the guys and the girls are pretty much talking about the same thing. We found out that Bennett loves jazz and R&B while Amelia likes folk music. I was like, see, I knew there was another reason why I like Chief Bennett and not the hygiene part. And then Henry goes on to let them know, like, yeah, you know, Christina's high maintenance. And they're like, did you tell her that? It was like, yeah. It was like, was I not supposed to? They're like, ah, nah. And of course, Woody, he still haven't got over the fact that he doesn't hit on girls at bars. Like, Woody, that isn't a thing that you have to do.
And Miles was like, whew, I'm glad my wife is in high maintenance. And they were like, you know, Henry, that may have been the wrong choice of words. He's like, I guess.
I'm like, was it?
Right.
And then Brett goes on to say that, you know, Olivia, she more so likes to spend her money basically on nonsense while he just likes to keep his money and budget. And once again, Woody puts his 2 cents in, like, you know, you can't expect her from going from a 4-star hotel to a 1-star hotel. Like, where they do that at?
And Woody was saying, you know what? Your wife makes more money than you. It's okay. Own it. It's all right.
And then when we go to the girls' side, of course, Amelia's just going on and on about how it's all rainbows and sunshine with her for now. And Olivia gets onto the finances part and basically how, you know, he's a homebody. She likes to go out and do, you know, some expensive things. And then I thought it was interesting that we found out from Karen that she finally let Miles kiss her, basically to let him get it out the way.
I mean, he got his kiss. Yes, he got out of his way. But when she said it to Amelia, she was giddy about it. She's like, oh, we finally had that kiss last night.
You thought so?
I did. She had a smile on her face.
I didn't feel any giddiness. If anything, it came from Miles, because that's what Miles has been waiting for since the kiss on the cheek from the marriage.
He's been waiting from the stranger bracelets, from the honeymoon.
Since forever. Following that, we see the scene with Olivia and Brett, and Brett's finally getting what he wanted. He's gonna budget for Olivia. And once again, Olivia's like, you know, money is not the issue. It's not the fact that I can't budget. It's just I like to do things. But when she was saying all the stuff that she has, you know, he was kind of tripping over the $50 for home security. And he was like, you could just get a dog. Like, no, you can't just get a dog.
Right.
But then she says she spent $500 a month on eating out.
I've heard people do that. I mean, if you eat out or you have it delivered to you by Postmates or whoever delivers food, I mean, those delivery charges can hit you quite hard.
Well, I just thought that was too much money because Brett said he spent $120. But I thought it was a cute scene because while he was doing all that, he was making dinner for her. Mm-hmm. And she was like, you know what? Cooking like this, I don't have to spend any more money. You can do that for me. And you know what? We can, you know, do some entertainment stuff. And he was like, go bowling. She's like, yeah, go bowling. And I was like, okay, see, this is the compromise that we needed from them.
If they could get that meshed well, then they have a chance. So we'll have to see. So today the family and friends come over for a housewarming party, and we start with Christina and Henry. And Christina actually apologizes to Henry for being hangry earlier in the day. Okay, Christina, maybe you were hangry. Maybe you were just, I don't know, going off the rails for whatever because there was no groceries and who said thank you, who didn't. But at least she apologized.
What did Henry apologize for?
Henry was like, okay, he just took it. He didn't apologize for anything, so.
I feel like he should apologize too for not trying to have conversations with her.
Well, then he'd be apologizing every day.
Oh.
So now the friends and family come in. Christina welcomes everyone in, and she's offering shots and drinks. And Henry's friend's like, nope, I don't want any. I'm good. I'm thinking, she's going to have a clear head tonight. She's probably going to ask Christina lots of questions that maybe she's not ready for. They sit around, they talk, and there's a game that's played.
Yeah, they play Would You Rather, but all the questions had to do with sex and
intimacy.
To me, I don't know about you, Mom, Henry and Christina looked really awkward and uncomfortable, and some of his friends looked awkward and uncomfortable. Everybody except for her friend, because he was answering all the questions. He was the party.
He was the party.
No one else was bringing any type of life.
So when they broke out in separate groups, Christina's friends talked to Henry and asked him more detailed questions like, so on the honeymoon, were you intimate, stuff like that? And again, they were like, no. And the friend was like, what do you mean no? You've been married 2 weeks. You're married. Mm-hmm. And Henry didn't have no response for that. When Henry's friends talked to Christina, she tried to put the issues out there on the table. And they said to her, and they kind of gave her a little bit of reassurance, that Henry is like that in general. It's not just with you, because when he became in the friend group, he was quiet and slow to respond too. So with that information, Christine was like, yeah, I guess so. So maybe I can open up a little more, give him a little bit more time that he needs.
But how much more should she give him? How much more time does she need to give him? And what is he going to give her in return? Because I haven't seen anything.
I don't know, but again, with that conversation, she just felt better. And I think that's what she needed to hear, that it wasn't just her.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Woody and Amani's friends and family come over, and already they in the kitchen, like, oh, who made this? Who made that?
Mm-hmm.
And Amani's like, I made that. They were like, okay, you got some cookie points. You did good. I was like, mm-hmm. So it already seems like they're already starting off the right foot with the tacos. And then they play the game, Never Have I Ever. And Woody's friends shade him like, oh, yeah, he's going to lose because they only had 5. Mm-hmm. They're like, that's going to go down real quick. And it did. It went by real quick.
But the prize was for Amani and Woody. Amani said if she won, she wanted a full massage. And Woody, if he won, he wanted a trip to the spa. Who do you think won?
We all know who was going to win. And it wasn't Woody.
So after the game was over, Woody went outside and talked with his guy friends. And they were saying how, you know what, man, I can't believe this is you. Like, I can't believe you're married. Mm-hmm. Like, I can see the change in you. Like, you seem like you've calmed down, settled down. And Woody was like, yeah, you know,
in 2 weeks?
Yeah. He said, yeah, I pretty much can see myself loving this girl. Matter of fact, I think that I do. They're surprised he settled down.
And they weren't the only ones who were surprised, too. It was also his cousin. So I'm like, well, dang. What was Woody really doing out there in the streets before he was on Married at First Sight? Like, I need to know. But I guess they say that it's a good thing that Amani is in his life because he has calmed down. But I'm just like, it's only been 2 weeks. Then we get to the house of Karen and Miles. The first person to arrive is Karen's friend. At first, she wanted a tour from Karen, but she was like, no, let me talk to Miles. And while she was talking to Miles, you know, he gave her an insight of what's been going on. And she's like, yeah, that sounds like Karen. That sounds like something Karen would do. So I guess this is not out of the norm for Karen to be always professional all the time because I guess she has stress from work, which is understandable. But I still always come back to the point. You know the process of Married at First Sight. What did you think about that, Mom?
Well, I know that people know the process, but some of them really don't know the process because they haven't closed the door of what type of relationship they had before. Like, they're still carrying a lot of baggage. So I think that hinders a lot of people. But the friend was asking Miles, like, how are you helping Karen, like, relax since she has that type of job where she's under a lot of stress? And Miles says, well, you know, when she comes home, he wants her to relax and take it easy. And he's also fixing her car for her, just doing things to make her feel comfortable.
So when the other family members come, they eat. It's taco day. Everyone's having tacos.
I noticed people were having tacos too, minus one couple.
They play the game Truth or Dare. All the questions, once again, were intimacy questions. And when Karen was hearing some of these questions like, oh, sit on his lap, give him a kiss, sniff the armpit, she was like, who made these questions up?
I would have been saying the same thing. And I'm not standoffish like Karen. But the question to sit on his lap, she did. And she did so willingly. She didn't like stutter or stammer. She went and did it. And when the kiss came up, they gave a quick peck. But I'm like, at least it's something. And it's in company of other people, which is new.
But touching on your point of how it's in Miles's nature to be, you know, a gentleman, be genuine. When Miles's sister goes to talk to Karen and lets her know, like, hey, how's it going? How's he treating you? What's it like? And she's like, oh, you know, I can see he's a good man. She just wants a little bit more from him. And his sister was like, you know, if you ever need something, just let me know. Because he is a lover. But she said this on a confessional, that while she knows that he's a lover, and anybody you would put in front of his face and be like, that's the one for you, he'll be like, oh, okay. He'll do it. But she's like, you know, she doesn't really see it for Karen. She don't know what it is. I can feel her energy. She don't know what it is. but she knows that maybe this might not be the one.
And also, Karen acknowledged that she needs to step it up, and she also needs more time to herself. That Miles sometimes smothers her. So I think when she said that, that's one of the reasons why his sister was like, I don't know.
I will say we did get more of Karen this episode than we ever have before. And for Olivia Brett this episode, we didn't see too much of their family and friends. They were hanging out, chilling. They seemed like they were having a good time. Not too many of Olivia's people came. So when Olivia went to go talk to her cousin separately, this is where she expresses her grievances. Once again, about the finances. How basically he's a homebody. He doesn't really want to do nothing. And that's one of her big concerns. You know, just because, once again, she likes spending her cheddar doesn't mean she doesn't want to budget or anything. Like, she didn't get married at first sight just to hang out with him and his cats.
Somewhere down the line, you can have them meet in the middle. I mean, they've already talked about that. Or else, why allow him to budget for you? Why? Now Olivia is saying how she's cool as a cucumber and she's more reserved, and Brett is more loud and outspoken. Like, listen to him. You can hear him from here. I mean, she acts like the bedroom was like down the hallway to the left around the corner. And I just think that Olivia now is starting to get frustrated as well, because she's starting to feel like maybe she can't spend her money with Brett, and she knows she doesn't own her own home. She doesn't know if she wants to move in with him. It's too far from work. Just all these different concerns, and her cousin's telling her, you know what? Relax, take your time. You still have some weeks to go to figure this out. You don't have to make that decision now. And I think Olivia's starting to feel like maybe this won't work.
Now we're at the house of Amelia and Bennett. They're waiting on their friends to come while they're cooking or whatever they're making. And I was looking at Bennett. I'm like, what time of year are they filming this? Why does he have a jack-o'-lantern shirt on?
Why do you need a jack-o'-lantern shirt on certain times of year? How come you just can't wear your t-shirt?
Because it's Halloween. That's a Halloween shirt.
You don't have to wait for Halloween to wear anything in your closet. I mean, little kids wear costumes and stuff every day, so. It's Amelia and Bennett. What else do you expect?
You're right. They are very eccentric. So I'm going to let him keep that jack-o'-lantern shirt for now.
I think that shirt really threw you off because they didn't cook. They looked like they had takeout lo mein.
It did throw
for
me
everybody.
off.
For their friends and family, they're doing a mural, which I thought was very creative.
I did too.
And it's something they could put up in their home and have forever. And what else? Again, what would you expect from Amelia and Bennett?
I mean, that seemed more like fun anyways. Would you rather paint and drink or paint and play games and be awkward like some of the people were?
Well, you do know they have those paint places where you can paint and sit with your friends, so maybe that was the idea. Now their friends come over, and you know what? Their friend group, when I first saw them, I'm like, they all look like they know each other. They run in the same circles. I was very surprised. They all have this vibe that they just seem to get along and mesh really well.
Yep, and once again, everything's all rainbows and sunshine. I thought it was interesting when Amelia was talking to one of her friends and we found out that they both are the big spoon and little spoon. I was like, I would have thought that Bennett would have been the little spoon all the time, not 50% of the time, but that's just me. And we also found out that their both favorite part of the honeymoon was building the fort. I was like, Amelia, once again, didn't you fall asleep when he was talking to you in that same fort?
How come she couldn't be tired? But one of the things that stood out to me was when Amelia's good guy friend came to talk to her, and he was saying how genuine Bennett was and how he seemed to be and how he was really into this process. And that at first he didn't seem like that this process would work, but hey, maybe we all need a therapist to tell us who we should get married to or go through the process too.
Not these therapists. I decline.
Now that the party's over, Amelia and Bennett put that mural up on the wall, and you know what? It wasn't that bad. It looked like it was a picture of like the street they lived on or somewhere in the city. It was actually nice.
So if they get divorced, are they going to cut it down 50-50 or are they going to share it every other week?
I think it's a good chance they'll do both.
And then we wrap up this episode with Christina and Henry. So Christina's in the kitchen cooking for Henry. Once again, she's asking all the questions and he's just like, yeah, And Christina's really trying to ask him some more things about himself. it's either he doesn't have an answer or it's I don't know. And then when he tried to throw a question back on Christina, she pulled an I don't know.
She did, and they both got very frustrated. And I don't blame her. It's still all about the delivery of the message. And I know you disagree with that.
I do.
Because you think that Henry should be more open. I think he should be too. But she just gets stressed from 0 to 100 real quick, as they say.
But at the same time, how come Henry can't meet her halfway just because he's stuck on her being impatient? I wonder why she's being impatient. Because you're not giving her anything. So she had to go take a few minutes to compose herself in the bathroom because she told the producers, you know what? This isn't feeling genuine to me. Like, how much more can I really give? Of course, Henry shuts down. Henry doesn't say too much. But then when she comes back, he's like, you know what? I gotta go take a break. I gotta go take a walk. So while he's walking down the hallway, this is when he's letting out his spicy comments saying, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't care no more. All this other stuff. Even dropping some curse language. I was like, Henry, where is this energy for Christina? You need to express how you're truly feeling, whether you're angry or you're happy, to her, so you guys can communicate better.
I don't know. This relationship seemed like it's started on the rocky road and it's still on a rocky road. So where it goes from here, we'll just have to watch it unfold.
All right, everyone. So that was the end of this week's episode. And it gave us something. It's still grasping for straws a little bit, but I'm definitely curious to see how Olivia and Brett is going to turn out in the next coming weeks, and what the change is going to be for Christina and Henry, because it seems like they were trying, but who knows, it could be the producers trying for them.
I think next week is going to be telltale for Christina and Henry to see if they can get past whatever happened, the hangriness, the opening up, the communication, the intimacy, because they have a lot to work out. As far as Olivia goes, are you really going to make a budget? Like, what's happening? And the front runners are still the front runners and still on the fence with Karen and Miles.
Well, thank you all so much for watching this week's episode. We really appreciate all the views and all the comments. So in the comment section down below, let us know what you thought about this week's episode, because me and Mom were not on the same page with Christina and Henry. So we're really interested to hear what you guys have to think. Thank you all once again so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. You share this video to other people who watch Married at First Sight, and you become a subscriber to our channel so you don't miss out on more videos with Cooking with Mom coming soon, different reviews. We're gonna do Power this week, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.
Thank you all for watching, and as always, live simply, be grateful.